Lights, camera, action.
All right.
Today, we're gonna make brain slugs.
Yep, we're gonna be making brain slugs from Futurama. This is gonna be a little family fun project. All right, so for starters, of course, we're gonna need our silicone caulk and our caulk gun. I like silicone 1 clear. I have heard some people say that, you got to get the blue label, avoid the red. That may be true of that brand, but that's not true of everything. I've heard some people say you got to get the white, or the clear, because the white won't work. That's not true either. As long as it's silicone 1, you should be good to go. If it says silicone 2, it'll take a month to cure, if it cures at all, and while it does, the air bubbles are going to slowly expand and give you a very dimpled surface. So avoid silicone 2 at all costs. If it doesn't say if it's silicone 1 or silicone 2, because it's a brand that doesn't, I guess, use that, just be wary. I've had DAP, and it's 100% silicone, and it's clear, and it doesn't say if it's 1 or 2. It did not cure at all. So stick to silicone 1. Of course, we're going to have our neon green food coloring. We're going to have our mixing bowl, which is hopefully something that is not important to you, because you may not get it back, depending on how your silicone cures or doesn't cure. Our bucks. This is the shape that we're going to put the silicone draped over. You can get as creative as you want with these. Paint caps, lacrosse balls, fruits. The silicone should not stick to any of it, so you can use anything you want, in theory, as long as it cures. Of course, our big bowl of water and our dish soap and a mixing spoon. Go as cheap as you want with the dish soap. I don't believe it matters which color. A lot of videos I've seen do blue. I've had good luck with the green. So we should be ready to rock. First thing we're going to do is pour our dish soap.
I'm gonna do it.
Yep, you're going to pour a lot.
A lot?
A lot.
Now?
Now.
It helps if you squish it.
Yep. And it helps if you get it all, nope, get it all in the bowl. All right, we're going to slowly mix this. We don't want it to suds up. We just want it to have a nice tint. And if we pour our silicone in and it's still sticky to our skin and to the bowl, then we know we need to add more. But I think we got a nice green tint, so it's probably pretty good. Goofus. All right, now you're going to pour. I'd say start with, no, not directly in there. We're going to mix our color first. So you're going to fill your bowl with as much as you can get. Really crank it down. There it comes. You're almost there. You gotta practice your technique, bud. Get the steadier hand.
Yeah, this is hard.
We're gonna keep working on that. We've got ourselves a little bigger than a golf ball, not quite as big as a lacrosse ball chunk. We're gonna add, I'm gonna say about 3 inches of food coloring and see how that goes. Gets to mixing.
All right. Now I want to mix too.
We'll let them work on that for a little while.
And fold it.
Yep, flatten and fold. That's the technique we're looking for. When you pour your silicone into the tub, make sure you get your hands wet first with the soapy water so that the silicone doesn't stick to it. And then you're going to work it inside the water, flattening it and folding it. That's how you're going to avoid air bubbles.
And don't smell too much of that.
No, this smells atrocious. If possible, do it in a well-ventilated area. Maybe somewhere outside even is probably better. This is a little more cramped than I wish it was. The smell is not pleasant. All right, once you feel it starting to get stiff, more like clay, less like goo, that's when you are ready to get it out. You've probably got about 8 to 15 minutes before it actually gets hard. And like real hard, like you're not going to flex it and manipulate it anymore. So we are going to try to
put this over.
Yep, we're going to work it into a drape. Back up, Tice. Get some space.
Tice, I already got a good idea for an antenna. Use sticky bullets. Sticky bullets.
See, it's getting a little thin already. Ugh. You know, this is
That's not. Daddy.
getting thin and sticking to the paper.
Daddy.
Oh, now we're out of time. This is not a good example. Oh boy. All right, round 2. First draft was okay. We're going to try again. This time we got about a baseball-sized chunk. So I'm going to drop down a bead of, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches. We'll mix that in there. Smell. I think we got a good Brain Slug color going. I think we've pretty much dialed in our shade of green. Try to get as much as you can of it. And the kneading continues. Flatten and fold, flatten and fold. As soon as it starts feeling more like clay and less like toothpaste, then you know you've got a couple minutes till it starts to get hard. Probably about 10-15 minutes. So at this point, as soon as you feel it start to firm up, you're really going to want to start getting it onto your shape. If you're making a mold with it, this is a good way to do it. You're going to want to flatten your pieces into it. But if you're like us, making a Brain Slug, you're going to want to put it onto the buck. The buck being the positive shape that we are just going to let it drape right over the top. Just about ready?
Yeah.
All right. One thing you're going to want to do is don't forget about making your antennas. So thin out a long piece. I say it's fine to do it right on the counter so long as you keep it nice and soapy. It will not stick to the counter any more than it stuck to your skin. So we're going to roll out our antenna. And, you know, you could always just roll it in a long one first and then cut it later. I'm going to try to get the ball, little ball on the end. Make it a little more screen accurate, if you can worry about cartoons being screen accurate. Why wouldn't you? If you've got the ability. So we've got our 2 antennae made. We're going to let those dry on their own. Hopefully they maintain their roundness and don't flatten out too badly. Now we got to work quick because we've been goofing off with antennas. We got to flatten this out. Really got to get it thin so we can get good coverage on our orange and spray paint top. Don't want it too thick because then it'll take forever to dry, or worse, it may not dry in the middle. Don't want it too thin because you don't want it stretching and then ripping. But I think we've got the perfect amount. A little globulous shape at the bottom. Pretty good coverage up top. Once we take the orange out of there, you're not going to see the orange underneath it so much. But that little semi-transparent look is actually what we want, though, because in some shots they looked clear. And you get a little globulous shape going. Overall, as long as it doesn't keep sagging and thinning out, I think this is going to be a winner. This is going to be a Brain Slug we're proud of. Alright, we'll come back and check on it in a few minutes. 10 minutes is probably plenty. In fact, we can come check out our first draft while we wait for this one. While this guy was still wet, I popped a little googly eye onto it. And it actually is really firm.
Googly eye fell off.
Yep, the googly eye does not. The thing about silicone is nothing sticks to it. So it's good that our lacrosse ball popped right out without any problems.
Feels like rubber.
Yeah. The bad part is our googly eye doesn't want to stick.
Yeah. Googly eyes don't stick to rubber.
This is pretty good. It's not, the shape's a bit sloppier than we want. But overall, it did dry. We may end up just needing to paint the googly eye onto it. And we're going to have to poke some holes to put our antenna in there. So this was our little mini guy, our practice run. Let's take a quick break while we wait for the big one to dry. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. The bottom still reeks, so I suspect the inside's not quite as firm as the outside. The outside is safe to touch with dry hands. And as I was just showing my son, the antennas are actually very stretchy and self-supporting. So we are probably actually going to have to drill holes to install our antennas because they're not going to be able to glue on there. We're going to have to do something a little more mechanical. And we just pop that guy right out at the bottom. Then we wash our orange off. Still safe to eat. It's just covered in soapy water. Silicone didn't get inside it or anything. And as he just showed you, giving it the old squeeze. It's yeah, I could use a little more air in there because it still reeks badly. But we do have a rigid shape. Brain slugs all the way. And when we install our eyes, which we may need to paint on, and our antennas, we're going to have this guy completed. So I'm going to let the bottom air out, and then we will pick up when this thing is fully not stinky anymore. Okay, these guys are now 100% dry and very durable. And I have gone and done the antennas on the first one. Obviously, glue will not fit, so we've got to think of a mechanical way to do this. And I pretty much decided we're going to do it.
Look on the antenna.
I did. We're going to figure out where our antenna's got to be, and we're going to literally poke a hole.
Can I poke a hole?
Straight down. Nope.
Okay.
And then I've got a little tip on there that doesn't remove nearly as much material as I wish it did, because this is really durable stuff. So in fact, I can't even find the original hole I just made to make this antenna.
Daddy, I can feel the bottom of the antenna when I put my hand inside.
I'm sure. I'm going to try to widen that hole a little bit.
Okay. You fit the drill bit in and out.
Yep. And then I'm going to work
and
the spot.
All up in the
and
hole.
Literally, I'm going to turn it inside out to make the hole more visible.
And look at and hear the sound.
And jam that sucker right in that hole.
Tice, look at this. Tice, look at this.
There we go.
Camera.
And so as it rips a little bit, that's fine because that'll make it be crooked. There we go. We got one antenna in. I think that actually looks pretty good where it's at. You obviously don't have to do this. You don't have to do this with a drill bit. Of course, you can do it with just the spike. I like to think the drill bit makes it a little rough around the edges so it might grip a little better, but maybe it's just my imagination.
I'm gonna go show Mommy.
And then, so there we go. We got our two antennas on this guy. Now, as we mentioned, the eyes would definitely not fit. So I've kind of remedied that, again, with a mechanical solution. These are Teflon foot things for a chair. And if we jam these suckers right in the eye hole...
It doesn't have an eye hole yet.
Now it does. And then we can put the little... This is sort of a rubber gasket to keep it from impacting as hard. But I don't know if you can see inside there. We're going to put that right on the back and squish it tight to hold it in. Now eventually I'd like to get a better eye, one that's more round and more screen accurate, but for now this is good. And also, if I do find a better eye, I can glue that to the Teflon and it will hopefully hold. So there is our guy. Now one quick note about how I did the eye. The Teflon actually doesn't want to take tape or paint any better than the silicone does. So I just use a hole puncher with duct tape. And yeah, it's wants to stick a little bit, but you can get it out of there. One perfectly formed.
Daddy, can I
hole.
take Mommy one? Daddy,
Hold
we
on.
need a. Can you put
This
an eye on
is
this
my
one?
daughter's little first. This is the third draft for my daughter. And this is, we're going to give it the eyeball she wants.
Yeah, we called it the first, but
Yeah, it was actually her third draft. Whoa!
those two are the first.
Those
two.
monstrosities were the ones I mentioned earlier, when it took a month for them to dry and the air bubbles started forming in them.
They're
Daddy,
not.
can I go
Yeah,
show
they're
Mama
dry,
now?
but yeah.
They're pretty dry.
Daddy, I'll
So
just
that's
show
it. This
them.
is our evolution of our brain slugs. And we may try a couple more to perfect them. Marianne, we got to get the beauty shot.
Oh.
And also we got to get the shot of your brain slug head. You got to make your... Want to go to the brain slug planet? Just walk around all day without wearing a hat. I see you got back from the brain slug planet. That's not a brain slug face. But that's it. That's our final project for now. We had a lot of fun. Hope you guys did too. And we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.